I'm Jason Shapiro,
bringing you an enhanced audiovisual experience.
the Legend of Two Cities podcast. You know, I've really been doing some soul searching of late. And I realize that as much as I think I know people, as much as I haven't taken a step in their shoes, and I don't know as much as I think I do, then I realize I haven't taken the time to take a few steps in my own shoes, to see where I was in order to figure out who I am and why I am the way that I am. And then I think back and I remember the boy who taught me pain, who taught me real pain, that would surely set the path for the rest of my life. And I don't even think he knew what damage he was causing. You know, when I was a child, all I ever wanted was to be a good person, to make friends and have fun. And he knew that. I just don't think he knew just how deep the rabbit hole went with the way he treated me. So my parents enrolled us in a very preppy Jewish day school. If your parents weren't incredibly wealthy, you weren't sporty, you weren't academic or good looking, you stood no chance. And I was nerdy, I was different. I didn't have what it took to make friends in this environment. And there was this one girl who befriended my sister. And she had a brother in my class. So I thought this is a great opportunity. His sister and my sister, me and him, we could all have play dates together. And I could really make a go of a friendship here, a real solid friendship, where I was really battling at that stage. And they were incredibly wealthy, this family. He would make me know that from what I wore, comparing it to what he wore, to shoes, to toys. He would often make me feel inferior or less than just because I did not have as much as he did. There were amazing fads. There were amazing fads in the 90s. One of which was wrestling fever, where all the kids were collecting wrestling collectible cards and action figures. I remember how grateful I was when my dad bought me my Shawn Michaels action figure, which I cherished. This kid had all of the action figures and every possible wrestling card in multiples. I was trading and trying to make a collection of my own with the other kids, and I was desperate to just get as many as I could. He had them all of them. And he made me know that. He would show me, look, I have 5 Bret Harts and I have 4 of the Undertaker. And what do you have? You don't even have 20 cards. So he really started to show me my worth from a financial standing when we would play together. There was another fad. There were these cool little alien marble things. They were called JoJo's. It was a really cool period at school where we would all toss them around and play games with them, trade them. Very similar experience to the wrestling memorabilia. But this kid insisted on playing marble type games with me and took such unbelievable pride and contentment in taking my JoJo's away from me over the other kids. He really got a kick out of winning these games in order to diminish my collection, which I had worked so hard for. In grade 6, I remember I got the luckiest break of my entire primary school career. I landed the lead role in the school play as Albert Einstein. I was so excited. The other kids in the class were asked to dress as crazy scientists, to accompany me onto the stage and do a dance in support of Albert Einstein finding E equals MC squared. So it's the day of the play. Everyone's very excited. I am super excited. And there he is in a full, over-the-top, over-dramatized Albert Einstein costume, which was not what the other kids were asked to wear. And he knew this. He knew he had to somehow figure out a way to upstage me and make my experience less than it was supposed to be. He was a real psychological bully. What I knew about bullying back then was very little. All I knew is what was happening. All I knew was that I was being attacked psychologically, emotionally, and even physically. He was such a mastermind. He had drawn circles around all the cliques, pointing out who the nerdy ones were, the popular ones, the smart ones. I don't think I was the only kid he victimized, but boy, did he have a way of running a room and telling everybody where they belonged. You know, if I remember correctly, yes, it was the same boy. He had a problem with his ears. He didn't like the way that his ears were pointing out. And there was nothing wrong with his ears per se, but cosmetically he didn't look as attractive as he probably could have. So his parents organized him a very, very expensive surgery that year. And I remember he arrived at school. He was pushing me around. In fact, I think he was kicking me in my shins on the way out of school when no one could see him doing this. He was just kicking me and making fun of me. And I remember I just punched him square in his ear. I knew I've got to hit him where it hurts. And I hit him in this ear that was recovering from this massive surgery. Boy, did I get into trouble with my parents, with his parents who were threatening my parents, with the school, the teachers who could do to be taught. If only they had opened their eyes to what was really going on the playground and what damage was starting to happen to me in the school. They immigrated shortly after. I think at the end of that school year, they immigrated to America. And I thought I was done with this. I was relieved. Unfortunately, that ordeal with his ears and that punching him set a pathway for the rest of my life where I would take a physical stance against bullies. It paved a way for a future full of unthinkable experiences where I would soon get myself into one hell of a lot of trouble. A pattern of behavior that I would need to work out of my system before it was too late. A pattern of rebellion and retaliation that very much became who I am. So they visited the one school holiday, and I had moved on, but it wasn't very comfortable seeing him again. And I remember we were kicking a ball around the playground, and he started kicking me to the floor and pushing me and saying, I thought we were playing American football. I thought we were playing American football. And he would scream that out so that everyone would laugh and just think it was nothing. And then we came in from that break time, and I swore to the teacher that I could not find my school books. I didn't know what I had done with them. I don't know where they were. Until I found my textbooks in the school toilet. He had such a way of doing things that were so cunning to do things to me in such ways that nobody even knew what was happening. And then he went back, and I don't think I ever saw him again. You're probably wondering to yourself, why divulge and dissect such deep, dark, personal experiences and emotions? To prove a point of what? When I look back on my life, I think I've experienced so much more, so many more people, so many more experiences, that this isn't actually as painful as what I'm trying to tap into. I mean, I really believe that the pain of the past is something that eases over time. And the memories lessen with new experiences that come my way. It's about what we learn from these experiences. And it's about how we learn to be better. We learn to overcome them. And we fight to be better people all around. I really believe that as much as this boy taught me pain, he taught me strength. And he taught me exactly from a young age what kind of friendships I wanted, what kind of friendships I needed. He actually taught me so much about myself that just thinking back like this, I actually feel empowered. I feel mighty. And I feel that I can literally conquer anything. Because if I could conquer a sociopathic, narcissistic bully, unhinged, uncontrolled bully, and I could still be here today with everything else that I've experienced, wow. I'm really, really ready to take on the world. So this is me signing off and just reflecting on something very painful. And just to know that you can never truly, as a takeaway from all of this, you can never warn someone against an experience that they're ultimately going to have all on their own. You cannot guard a person against their own pain, and you cannot write somebody's story for them. Message me at legendoftwocities.com.